Hi, Deacon Ed McCormick, continuing my series on synodality, and we're discussing part 2 of the document on synodality, where we are guided by the image of the entire people of God in the boat together on mission. And in this section, I want to talk to you about mission and the importance of charisms. And I want you to note that in the document, the bishops chose to follow the lead of the Vatican II Council. Remember, I told you that in the Vatican II document on the church, the chapter on the people of God came before the chapter on the hierarchy. And in the document on synodality, the bishops followed that same procedure. And so when they begin to talk about the people of God on mission, they are first of all talking about all people in the church. And here's what's crucial. They emphasize that every baptized person is enriched with the gifts of the Spirit. Everyone who is baptized is being given gifts, charisms by the Holy Spirit that are to be used to help the local church flourish, as well as to help grow society as a whole. Every baptized person, therefore, is called to discern what are the missionary needs within the local church and within their local community. And guided by the Spirit, each of us is to discover how we can use the charisms given to us by the Spirit for the betterment of society and the church. Now, I want to pause here. I want to distinguish between what I would call natural gifts, the kind of gifts that come just by God creating us, the gifts of athleticism, or the gift of a beautiful voice, the gift of a mind for science or math. Those are natural gifts. Those are the gifts that come with God creating us. But what the bishops are talking about is a second set of gifts that come with the outpouring of the Holy Spirit upon the local church. Every person who is baptized receives the gift of the Spirit, and the Spirit gives us charisms, particular gifts for ministry. And that's what I'm talking about here today. You see, a synodal church is a church on mission. And the local church sends out people on mission to serve society. So the church needs to promote a co-responsibility for mission among all the baptized, not just the priests, not just the deacons. The document keeps talking about co-responsibility. All the baptized are to be sent and to be felt, supported, and nurtured by the church. Their commitment is to be respected. Their desire to be about ministry and mission is to be respected and supported. And this is going to mean that the local church has to become creative and courageous as it discerns new ministries the Spirit is calling for. And the bishops recognize that the people of God engage in a diverse range of practices, and they are so important for the mission and ministry of the church. And they single out the crucial role that women play, that children and young people play, that the married play, that theologians play in this mission. It is only after discussing the gifts the Spirit gives to all the baptized and their role in the mission of the church that the document turns to the bishops, priests, and deacons. And I want to just highlight a few features of the role that bishops, priests, and deacons play according to this document. First, bishops are to preside and serve over the local church. And the bishop's task, this document says, is to discern the gifts of the Spirit being poured out on the people, the communities, the priests and deacons. The synod desires that the people of God have a greater voice in selecting their bishops. And the bishop is to spend time with the people, listening to them. As for the priest is to live in the service of the people. He's to welcome them, listen to them, be open to a synodal style of being a priest and pastor. He's to welcome charisms accompany the people, guide the local church. And finally, deacons are called to make a real connection between the gospel and real life. They are to promote a consciousness of service among the entire people of God. Now, finally, this section of the document calls for greater opportunities for the lay faithful to participate in service and ministry within the church. This is going to call for a spirit of collaboration and co-responsibility. It's going to demand a renewed awareness that listening is essential to the life of the church. This calls for a listening on the part of the bishops, the priests, and the deacons, and not just the people. In fact, they're calling for a ministry of listening and accompaniment, like spiritual direction. And finally, the Synod identifies 3 concrete needs. First need is for an increased lay participation in church discernment processes and in all phases of church decision making. Secondly, they call for greater access of lay people to positions of responsibility in the diocese and seminaries and theological faculties. And finally, they call for an effective recognition of the dignity and respect of the rights of those who work for the church. I'll see you in the next video.